Good morning. It's Friday, January 30th. So happy to be here with all of you. This is Finding the Word. I always forget what this is, but you are at an open door if you're listening to this. And this is the hour in which we read a book. And at this time, we're reading Paul Selig's The Guides, Resurrection. And for those who want to know where we are on page 100 at the bottom of the page. And before we get started with our reading and sharing, we're going to listen to a little clip from the guides, courtesy of our fabulous Cindy Krupp, who is our
Woo!
host and is the container for an open door in which we all gather and share and are sustained through our love for each other. So take it away, Cindy.
Much of what you experience is actually commandeered by aspects of the self that hold expectation for you. Imagine you are holding a hand mirror, that it's placed above your shoulder and it is seeing what is behind your back. And you understand only the view from the mirror through the small frame that the mirror holds. The small frame obscures everything else, and the history that you are looking at is framed in a very small way. The woman who is being so angry may have been fearful, but you do not know her fear. You only see her rage, and the rage that you see is born in your own experience or fear of another's anger. When you understand that the other's experience of being is known through her own expression, her own challenge, her own choice, and these things need not be your business or your bother or your focus, you may put the mirror away, and you may begin to see what is before you without the old frame claiming a history of what once was. I see the one before me with the eyes of the Christ is an instruction that we have offered often. And when we speak these words, we see the ones before us with the eyes of the Christ. We are seeing them without judgment and without fear. We are knowing them as they truly are, beyond the need to make wrong, condemn, or seek reprisal. To understand that seeing someone in this fashion does not mean that they are not capable of harm or behavior you would not like would be to misunderstand the teaching. To see the one before you with the eyes of the divine is to witness the divine as the human being beyond what he or she presents as, beyond what he or she behaves as, beyond what he or she has done or might do. You are in fact reclaiming them in the high experience that we call the upper room, which is, of course, Christ consciousness. To see the others with the eyes of the Christ is not to see as the one you know of as Jesus. It's to allow the divine principle that knows all things as of itself to bear witness to itself through the other. But again, this does not mean that if she is holding a rattlesnake and waving it at you, you might not wish to leave the room. Leave the room if you must, but still know the inherent divine that has come as her, as him, or in the situation that you perceive. When you think, most of you, of shifting reality, you think of getting the reality that you want or think you should have. But the reality that we are speaking to now is indeed the shared construct of reality that you are all confirming or abiding in, and confirming the shared ideas in very singular and impressionistic ways. The one who looks at a situation and says, "Oh, what a wonderful opportunity," is not the one who looks at the same thing and bemoans the fate of all of humanity. The one who says, "I hate that woman," is not the one that says, "Well, she has a ways to go still." You may choose the response that you want, but understand that the response that you claim confirms the experience and the way that you mandate, and requires you then to be in coherence, which is energetic alignment to that. What you damn, who you damn, damns you back, which is not to say they are not accountable to their behavior, but it is to say that if you wish to damn them, you have lowered yourself or put yourself in shadow right beside them. To bless another is not to condone their behavior. To bless another is to decide or know or realize that the action of the divine is upon them. You are in God. You are of God. You are with God, which must always be so. And underline those words, must always be so, because you are not pretending this. You are confirming what is always true at the higher level of amplitude. It is true that what lurks in the shadows is what has been bred in the shadows. But when you bring the light, the shadows dispelled, and what is there can be re-seen and re-known in, of, and with God. You are in God, you are of God, and indeed you are with God, know it or not, like it or not, it is indeed always so. And always so, not at the level that the personality self might approve of. People are still being harmed, yes. People are still choosing in fear, yes. These things are indeed so at the level of the personality construct. But what is occurring now on this plane is the realization of the inherent divine where it has been denied, which of course means that all things must be seen. The light must be brought to what has been held in shadow in order for what has been held in shadow to be made new. It is in God, it is of God, it is with God, and it has been reclaimed or reknown as of and with Source. What has been put outside the light accrues evidence of darkness. Who you put outside the light accrues evidence of darkness and becomes more frightening to you. Who becomes more frightening to you commands power over you. And when someone has power over you, you have understood yourself in relation to him, her, it, them in a subordinated way, and you have created a God in fear. And what you claim as your God will be your God, even if that God is fear. So if you wish not to hold fear as your ally, as your God, as your idea of Savior, I should be afraid, I must be afraid. If I am not afraid, look what might happen to me. To release these things is to gift yourself with the new high awareness that is present now. Underline now, not someday when the conflict is over, not someday when you have been forgiven, not some day when you have forgiven the other, not someday when everyone agrees with your assessment of the situation, but when you are in the light now. And the aspect of you that is in the light now is what claims, I am in God. I am of God. I am with God.
Well, if that wasn't exactly perfect, I don't know what is.
Yes, yes.
It is the now, isn't it?
That was really exactly what we needed. It was just great.
I didn't speak much, I don't think I spoke at all yesterday, but what really comforted me about this was the whole idea of seeing beyond behavior and opening the aperture. You know, in the camera to let in more light, to not have it framed and only see the history that he was talking about, or the guys were talking about, to open that aperture and then let more and more light in, and then you can love all. Yet it doesn't mean, as he said, that the everything that's going on is right. And he did bring in the element of choice, that you can see, witness beyond the present behavior, and witness that the person who was acting however she was acting was choosing in fear, and that we may choose the response we want. So I think all these things can be true, because it's, to me, this whole thing is a mystical experience, and I don't have to think there's either or anymore. But I think what we heard yesterday can be true, and what the guide said can be true, even though they have a seemingly contradiction. Am I making any sense here? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm really glad we got to listen to this. And it also said it does not mean that they are not accountable for their behavior. So the discussion we were having before we started recording doesn't mean that we can still hold, we can behold the divine in people, and it doesn't mean that we have to approve of the behavior.
Right. If they're holding a rattlesnake and coming after you, then you are allowed to leave the room.
Yeah. And you don't have to, and I personally, in my own understanding, which I will admit may not be correct, but my own understanding is that not only do I can still love them and leave the room, but I can also operate within the dream to share the truth of being in a way that impacts the dream. And I think that's what we do here.
Interesting. Thank you for that. Thank you. Cindy, and then Patricia.
I just wanted to remind everyone that that was 8 minutes of an intensive called Shifting Reality, which was from December, and it's in our library. So you could have access to all of it. And I also just really want to say how useful all of these teachings are when I feel connected and open and I could feel that they're true. And also when the old constructs or the history or is coming up to bite you, is coloring the screen of awareness. Like there's this sense that it's all still working even when the nervous system feels inflamed and you're going about doing what we got to do. And I don't know, whenever I use the dream, I think of Richard and I start smiling. Whatever this is, I've spent a lot of time in the last couple of days going, okay, it's an illusion, it's a perception, it's not real. Man, it feels real. I have to make a decision now. I don't have to make, it's just so interesting knowing that it's temporary and that all the guides or whoever are working and it's all working and it's all good, even when it feels the opposite of that, even when it's 11 o'clock and 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock and 2 o'clock and your nervous system's going wild. Trusting that it's all for me is just awesome. And I wanted to say, I love us and I'm so grateful for the energy of this space. Yeah. So that's my share.
Thank you, Cindy.
I don't have a book today, so I can't read, so I'm just listening.
Okay. All right. Patricia's up next.
Good morning, everyone. Good. Wonderful to see your faces. Look at all these beautiful faces. So good morning. Um, it's just working with what is. And, from one perspective, it's like a phrase that comes to mind is not getting hooked in whatever is going on, but being able to just watch it, to be the observer of whatever it may be. And if I choose to engage, I choose to engage. If I choose not to engage, I choose not to. The choice is up to me. But it is what it is in the dream. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I posted and then Rana reposted what page we're on, page 100 at the bottom of the page. I'm going to let Richard say his piece and then I'll take names for whoever would like to read this morning. So Richard, you're up next.
I just wanted to say good morning, love us all, and today's listening with Paul was right in line with today's lesson in the Course in Miracles. God is in everything I see because God is in my mind. That's all. Love us.
Thank you. I'm with Cindy and just needing to be reminded of this and so grateful for the teachings because the world intrudes. And so I just want to express my gratitude for the teachings and all of you who remind each other. And Livy.
Yeah, just real quick, I remember a few years back when my dad still lived with me, and before we had this conversation, I remember thinking, because every time it wouldn't have mattered if I'd been on a spiritual meeting or whatever I was doing, if I heard that man's name or heard his voice, I would immediately get just angry because I was fearful. And then one day it occurred to me, I'm giving him all my power.
Yeah.
And, let's not do that. So yeah, that's what that made me think about it. And I did have to have a conversation with my dad one morning, and I said, I'm really grateful that we can have our opinion and live somewhere where we don't, well, doesn't feel so much anymore, but don't have to worry, have a government. We don't have to worry about them coming in and killing us because we don't believe the way that they do. But we cannot talk politics or religion in this house. And we didn't after that going forward. I mean, we would have our moments, but we just would not talk about it. And we didn't watch the news. He would watch it in his room, but we couldn't do any of that together. And that was the only way we could live together. And that I'm still sitting here talking and we didn't kill each other. So that's a plus. But anyway, thank you so much for that clip, Cindy.
That's a great reminder, Livy, that we give our power away when we allow the other to undermine our sense of peace. Who would like to read today? Livy, do you want to read? Okay. Who else? Raise your hand. Patricia, do you want to read? Okay. Sandra wants to read. Okay. And I'll read. All right, we'll see where we go. Maybe people will loosen up and want to share their voice with us. So you know where we are, and Livy, you're up first.
All right. Now calligraphy, fine lettering on a page, is pleasing to the eye. It's a lovely skill to develop, but what if what the calligraphy says is there is no God, there is no truth, And it's made so lovely that you take it home and put it above the fireplace to admire the pretty lettering. That is the world you've chosen to claim, and you are the ones making the signs and paying for them and decorating your lives with them. The truth of your being in a manifest state may now be claimed in a way that it is not, because it has not, because of the level of vibration or tone that is present for you now is of such a high octave that it actually translates what is placed within it. Imagine this. You have a lantern that has the light streaming from it. Everything placed in this stream of light is altered and changed, what's illumined and seen. This is an illustration of, behold, I make all things new. And the claim of God. God is, God is, God is. First a flame in the lantern, then pouring from the lantern, and then overtaking the lantern, so the lantern itself becomes the light, is what it means to have come. And the claim, I have come, is indeed the claim of the illumined lantern. Should I continue, or?
Well, before you do, something comes to mind here, which is that I'm resisting this, and I'm resisting it because, or there is resistance arising, and the resistance is arising because it feels like this requirement or this truth that can be claimed, this light that can be claimed, is we're being told that we can claim it in a time when it feels really dark. And there's a part of me that says that's just too high a hurdle for most people. You're asking us to do this work with one hand tied behind our backs. So I thought I would put that out there. And yeah, I just thought I'd put that out there.
What comes to my mind when you put that out there is that the only way to know different colors is to see different colors. The only way to know hot is to know cold. The only way to know, and in the world of duality, there seems to be this experiential learning from when we're babies on up, that a full understanding of companionship comes after you've known loneliness. And so we're put in this world in a dark time. And we fully appreciate when we come into this space and we feel the light. I don't know if that.
Oh, actually, what you're saying reminds me so much of Viktor Frankl.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Writing in the concentration camp.
Yes. Why did that come from him, and that it now still nourishes all of us?
Yes.
Because of his situation. And I know, even though I don't like it sometimes, when I don't have to like it, as Rana told us before we started, I know that it gives me experientially an understanding that I could not know cognitively.
Thank you for that. I'm so glad I raised that question and got the answers. Thank you so much. Lonnie, you're up next. Do you have there you go.
It would seem to me that it's in these times when the darkness, as people put it, seems so prevalent, that we are most empowered to hold the light. And it's not even that you know, here's the other thing. There was never, ever a guarantee or a promise that it would be easy or that it would necessarily, I keep saying that it's not pink cotton candy, you know? But it seems like these times here actually support the light with every moment of fear that's exuded, that it really supports the light coming in and taking it over. I'm in the car, so that's why you don't see me.
You know, your voice sounds to me like you're a World War II war correspondent. But your words, Lonnie, thank you. God, I'm so glad I brought that up because Sandra and Lonnie, your responses are just beautiful.
And Amy, just think back to a few minutes ago for all of us. The guide said when we're encountering this woman, we can say, oh, what a wonderful opportunity, or we can say, oh, I don't like that, what's happening.
Yeah.
That we have that. And we get to do that. And as we do that over and over, you've told me this is what you told me. I'm just telling you back. As we do it over and over again, we develop that ability in some way that just raises us.
Exactly. And it gets to the point where it's not something you have to pause and think about doing. It becomes an automatic lens that one looks through, because it becomes, you know, I got so used to looking through the lens of fear until I didn't know how to look through another lens. But once I started looking through a lens of love and existing in that place, the next time I fell into that lens of fear, it felt like absolute shit. And all I could think of was, how did I do that for so long?
And my automatic response is, that's not who you are. I mean, I don't say that out loud, but that's what I think. That's not who you are.
Yeah.
You're more than that. You're better than that.
Yes. Because it's easy to see the limitation you put upon yourself when you're in that.
Thank you. Thank you both. We ready to move on to page 101? Patricia's going to read, and she's going to start from now. A lantern does not light for itself. Which is what Sandra and Lonnie just were. They were both lanterns right there.
Yeah. I've got to turn on the light, excuse me. Now, a lantern does not light for itself. The lantern. Look at all my lovely light.
All right. Patricia, you're fading in and out.
I know, my internet is iffy. Why don't we have someone else read?
Do you want to try it one more time? And if you fade out, then we'll.
No, it's okay, but because
Okay.
it is.
Okay.
Please have somebody else
All
read.
right. Well, Sandra's up next. Maybe Sandra will take it. Thank you, Patricia.
Sure.
Now, a lantern does not light for itself. Some of you say, I want to be the lantern. Look at all my lovely light. There has never been a lantern created whose objective was to enjoy its own light. The lantern shines for all, and it always will be so. The claim God is, God is, God is the light of the lantern, claiming all light in recognition of itself, because all is light, even when shrouded, even when denied, and even when you can no longer say, please God, let me believe. The light of God is all things, and we are here to speak today about what it means to be the risen light, which is the resurrection. Yes, foretold, and yes, it is here, but not as you wish it. You prefer some trumpets, a horseman or two. You prefer a page number to check how far you've progressed. Huh. The idea of second coming is a secular concept, but a universal truth. And the language that we use when we teach, has been in some ways useful to translate concepts to a culture that has a heritage in such language. But the idea of second coming, which is mass resurrection or the realization of the divine as all, is present in every language, but in rather different ways. The second coming, as we speak to it, is not only an event, but a process and a catalytic process. A forest fire is an event, but the one match to the tinder that begins the flame is also an act. And the spreading of the fire from tree to tree, branch to branch, is also a process.
That had a lot of flavor of Course in Miracles to me. The way he spoke about the second coming.
Yes, I was just reading that in the lessons. There is a section called The Last Judgment, and it talks about the second coming.
Yes.
What I related to in that is that when I first realized all of this, when I had this realization about my true nature, I really thought it was just for me, just like it says there. And I just would go into my little retreat in my home and enjoy this. And then I realized that that was not true. Like an egoic response that I had. I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but it was like,
Cindy.
Yes.
Yep.
Living it, watching how often I've been calling it the I separate mind or the I separate thought, really. The mind is the mind, but there's this thought that says, this is me and you are you. And I'm watching the way it behaves and how often it's taking other characters in this dream and placing it outside the teachings, right? How often is Cindy saying they're not getting it, or just placing them outside the teachings and recognizing that that can only be healed here. And it's hard. I spent hours early this morning realizing how desperately something didn't want to bring certain characters into my space and take responsibility for my responses to them. And recognizing that the teachings say the divine is in everything. And so this feeling like they're not getting it, or the feeling like there's some insanity here, or the feeling like I'm being attacked, all of that is here, right? And I kept saying, I could just pick up and leave and feel peace again. But how that's not useful here anymore. And the other thing, as I'm sitting here, I'm so grateful that I could just sit here and soak it all up, because that's what I'm doing. Is this matter of choice and the way it sits now and what's useful for me. And it's this remembering, and the guides talk about it, right? Like the light never goes anywhere. And I've been memorizing the workbook lessons again, which I'm so grateful. I've done it so many times. I'm almost up to 300 already. It's been very useful. But like lessons like let not my mind deny the thought of God has been really useful for me. And I'm understanding that no matter what the experience is here, the light always is. So as we're talking about the lantern, or the guides talk about the window a lot, I'm realizing that the light never changes. It's just that the the glass on the lantern might be dirty, or how often have they talked about the smudges on the window or the barnacles on the ship? And so it's been really, really useful in this practice right now, and remembering that God never goes anywhere. This is just the debris, the dirt, the smudges. And so that all of that came up as I was listening to you, Sandra. I don't know if that's what you were pointing to, but that's what you are reminding me of here. And I really, really, really am so grateful.
Hmm.
There's that song, "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine."
I've been articulating it as like agreement. And when I do that, it shows itself more potently.
Hmm. Let not my mind deny the thought of God. Mhm. Yeah. Anybody else?
Do you want me to keep reading unless there's somebody else who wants to read?
If you'd like to read, sure, that would be great. I'm up next after you.
Okay, you go ahead.
And then please, okay. Anyone else who wants to read? Sandra, maybe you'll read again. Do you want to take up the next paragraph, Sandra?
I'm having trouble hearing. Okay.
Okay.
We are not burning down the house. Thank you, thank you. We are illuminating the house. And everything in the house that can no longer stay at this level of vibration is to be cleaned and done well. You will look at this before you and say, "Oh no, there goes the value of my home. Oh no, there goes the church I once belonged to. Oh no, there goes the ocean." In fact, the ocean will stay. It takes perfectly good care of itself without you. But what you have done to this plane will be made new, and you may lift it, but you will not lift what you deny. And what you deny God in, be it the ocean, be it the one beside you, be it a country or a world, will claim you in shadow. I feel like that line is important. What you deny in God will claim you in shadow. God is all things and will not be denied your permission, which is in will. To renew the self above the old fabric, above the old applique, is now here and is being utilized for the benefit of all. The moment you know, truly know, God is, God is, God is, you will never be the same. We will stop this teaching for Paul. Now for Paul, he needs a pause. Period, period, period.
Cindy says, what you damn, damns you back.
Yes.
May says, yes, what keeps you in darkness calls you to it. Fear begets fear. What you damn damns you back. This day belongs to love. Let me not fear. Yes, and May says the darkness makes it all brighter.
Yes.
So it just comes to me that in part, what my response is to all that is happening around me is illuminating where I need to, it's illuminating what I'm holding in shadow, right? And so it's there for me. It's not like, oh, you're failing because you get angry about this, or you're failing because you're disappointed. It's allowing the disappointment and the anger to illuminate what is still needing to be held in love, what is still needing to be held in grace. So thank you.
I feel like all of us right here, right now, are being lifted.
Yeah.
We're allowing the truth to enter our being and be lifted by it. And as we lift everything, even though we're just this little small group.
Yeah.
And that is just so amazing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, if I may, and when you were talking earlier about the fear and the voting and all of that, I have been seeing these beautiful images coming out of Minneapolis of all these people singing together, just singing beautiful songs and coming together in peace and in love. And the catalyst of that was something dark. And that's just what you were saying. It's like they're finding the truth. I mean, used to watch. You used to watch Mr. Rogers, right? I mean, I'm not the only old one here.
No.
He said, when things go wrong, look for the helpers.
Yeah.
Look for the helpers. Don't focus on what's wrong. And that seems to me like part of what they're saying here. And we're being lifted, and that's all.
Thank you. Yeah. May says, I like to often try to hear in my head the one note sung. That's a beautiful way to put it. Lonnie had her hand up. So if Lonnie, if you are available to share now, by all means.
I was just pulling in my driveway. I had gotten off. I had been pulled away on a call, and when I came.
Yeah, Lonnie, we're losing you. So come back when we can hear you, and Livy's up next, and then Lonnie, when you're ready, we'll. Lonnie, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
You're fading in and out, sweetie pie.
Okay, so I'm going to put my hand down. Go on.
Okay, all right. You come back on when you can stick with us, and we'd love to hear what you have to say. Livy, you're next. Thank you.
What really resonated with in hearing the video and then in this reading, the shadow. And that has become really important to me because there was I had shadows that had friends, and they're just protecting me away from everything. And it's been the biggest gift to be able to, and it's really been occurring since I started an open door and started praying, how can I be the best expression of your love in the world today? And then the blocks to the love started coming up, and the shadow for me to look at, and to be able, because I was so afraid, because I didn't want to believe those parts of myself. I didn't want to believe that I thought that way, or, I'm better than that or whatever. And the ego, created this persona. And it's in the shadow where the gifts lie, to be able to courageously, which y'all have given me, to look at them with love and see that there are just hurt parts that are ready to be healed, so that love can shine on it, and whenever I hear those attack voices within myself, I know now to meet that with love, and not get caught up in the fear, or that I'll implode or something. And that's been a really, really good gift. We all have, we're all the same. we have, there are those who forget who they are, like Trump, and people who follow them. They've forgotten who they are. And the practice for me is to look on them with love and compassion. And I think back on when there were so many protests against the Vietnam War, and there was the picture of the hippie going up to the soldier with the flower, or the tank. He went up to a tank with the flower, And man, this country's been doing protesting for a long freaking time. And now it just seems even more and more crucial.
Recording in progress.
What just happened? Oh, okay.
You're good.
But
maybe Lonnie probably just got on her computer.
Yeah. And I look forward to hearing what she has to share with us. So it's kind of doing that. And I remember Ram Dass saying on his altar, he has pictures of Ramana Maharshi and all these different, Christ, all the different pictures. And he included a picture of Trump on there. And in his loving kindness practice, he would start off with each of them, people he would send loving kindness to. And he said it would be a struggle someday, that he could feel resistance to it. And knew at the same time to see him as, a living being who doesn't know. He's forgotten who he is. And to be able to send the love and compassion to that.
Yeah.
So just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Libby. We got Lonnie with us now. So Lonnie, would you like to share?
Good morning, family.
Good morning.
What I was trying to say in the car, which really just kind of lit my whole system up, was that when I came back on the call, I heard that last part of that reading that Sandra did about when you know God is. And it lit me up because, holy crap, there's stuff that comes out of this mouth sometimes. I got to look around and see who said it. I don't even recognize this anymore, because, and even, and I sit in presence with people sometimes and I hear what's coming through and I realize, wow, that would have been very different before, So and the fact is that there's nothing that is frightening about stepping into at this point because it's all opportunity. So I received a call in part of my previous life. I am a memoirist and teach memoir. And I received a call, a communication yesterday from the program I used to work with that fired me, the only time I've ever been fired. And there was a lot of inner turmoil with me and the director, to the point where I said, may I never see her again. And of late, I can appreciate all of what that time brought into my life because it's brought me lifelong friends. But that person, nothing to do with her. I received a communication, actually it was a few days ago, through someone else that she wants to speak to me. And I was immediately, I cannot imagine what we could possibly have to talk about. And I put a period there. And then another communication came that they want to include some of my work in an anthology. Will I speak to her about that? But I kept feeling this ickiness come up around it. Yesterday, I received a communication from one of her people saying that she'd read my work and how enthused she was to meet me and that she would really love to talk to me about using it in the anthology and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I sat still and realized, wait a minute, why am I going through these changes about Erica? She's not who she was. I'm not who I was. And do I really care about who she thinks I was or am today? And if I agree to this anthology, it's not about her. It's about what's being presented before me, and have I not agreed to walk straight into what's presented? I'll be having the conversation this afternoon with her representative to be included in the anthology. And I don't have to give a reason. It can just be because I know this. So this talk this morning was beautiful from Paul because it just validated all of that for me.
That's great. Thank you, Lonnie. All right. We're at the bottom of page 102. I'm going to read, and then I'm going to ask folks to consider reading again or reading for the first time. All right. We would like to begin, and we will continue for a few moments because the teaching is imperative, and you need to understand the obligation to your own needs that must arrive through this experience. When the idea of self and the appliqued self is met in a higher octave, the translation of one's experience is vital to understand. It is not that a teacup is not a teacup. It's that who holds the teacup, tastes the tea, who pours the tea, is altered. And the experience of all things is actually translated. Imagine a film once in black and white that has been painted in color. The painting of the color would be what you assume should be there. The grass should be green, the flowers pink, and the sky bright blue. But in this translation, your expectations of what should be are going to be denied. Now you can decide the sky is still blue because the collective has agreed to this, and the spectrum of color that you chose from is rather limited. But you don't know the color of the sky. You know how that idea of colored, you know how that idea of colored is filtered through the lens, and how you perceive and invoke is predicated upon what things have been. As you are aligning to the higher, the senses in a refined state are actually operating in tandem with the divine self in order to support your experience. So to believe that the body and the body senses are operating separately from the monad would be to your detriment. As the soul expresses through your being in its own learning, it accrues information to its benefit. But the self that you have known yourself as has also accrued evidence to the detriment of its experience, because you've been chosen and have been choosing with a rather limited menu. Your father said, "Look at the beautiful green ocean. Look at the pretty blue sky." And the child that sees the ocean as other becomes incomplicit nature to the creation she was expected to see. Livy.
I'm sorry to feel like I'm bogarting this meeting, but it just reminded me, I grew up in the South, and I have a cousin that grew up, he's 8 years older than me. And when he was a little boy, and they had the colored water fountains and the white color water fountains. And when he was 5 years old, he ran immediately to the colored fountain because he was expecting, like Walt Disney, for all these colors to come shooting out. And I just wanted to share that. That just reminded me of that. The beauty and the, you know, children don't see separate. They don't see, you know, so anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you, Libby. That was lovely. That was the innocence of children. Richard, you're up next.
What I
Wait to
got
hear
out
what you
of
have
this
to say.
was the experience many of us are talking about currently is a experience of the collective. We have different collectives. We have a national collective. We have a human collective. We have an individual collective. We have family collective. So what we're experiencing is we're always talking about how we bring the negative up in ourselves as individuals. But in the collective, the same dynamic is happening. The negative energy in the country is rising for healing, not for judgment. Because, and the same is true in the world. All this negative darkness that we think we name it as is coming up for healing. It's not good versus bad, it just is. So I love when the Course in Miracles says the definition of forgiveness is to accept everything as it is without judgment. That is what forgiveness is. So if we look at the world, whatever your world is, and you look at it as it is and not judge it, just is what it is, then you're helping raise your, I think that's what the book is saying. When you do that without judgment, you're raising your frequency. You're raising it to the upper room. You're not condemning anything. You're just not judging it. And you're loving everything that is. And then when you see the divine in everything, you love everything. It's only when you refuse to see the divine that you judge it. And as we all know, when you judge, you're in the ego mind. You're in the ego self, not the higher self. The higher self does not judge. It allows everything to be as it is without judgment. So that's where I'm at right now. Love us all.
Thank you, Richard. I always appreciate your reminding us that we operate in collectives. And that really it brings to mind a book by a guy named Joachim Wolf, who I bought Cindy the book, and I was hoping that we would read it sometime together, but I think that probably won't happen. He wrote a book it was about holons. And I don't know if you know what a holon is, HOLON. A holon is it's a term that he used for holographic manifestation. Just call it manifestation. And he calls God, or the absolute, the all holon. The ALLHOLON, the all holon. And then everything else that has extended from the all holon is just a pattern of the all holon. And it's all absolutely perfect. The book is called The Inner Reality of Spiritual Logic. And I can put it in the chat later if you want to read it. It's a really phenomenal book. He's a physicist, and he actually was a 19-year-old growing up at the end or during the, he was like a 14-year-old when World War II started. And it does remind us of fractals, yes. So he was in post-World War II Germany right at the end of the war as a 19-year-old and was basically starving. He was living in an attic, and he had been conscripted into Hitler's youth army. And so he had that in his background. And he would survive on one potato a day and was just dealing with all of this and really wanted to study physics. And he had this epiphany in which he saw a representation of the absolute truth in his mind. And then he spent the rest of his life trying to write about it. But just getting back to Richard's comment about the collectives, it reminds me of the holons. And he talked about there's a holon for molecules, there's a holon for atomic structures, there's a holon for humans, there's a holon for birds, there's a holon for fish. Each holon out of the all holon has its own pattern and its own pattern recognition. And it's really phenomenal. It kind of blows apart the human hubris of trying to understand how all things work. So anyway, thank you for letting me go off on that tangent, and thank you, Richard, for reminding me of that. So we are at the bottom of page 103. Does anybody want to take the next paragraph? Going once. Livy, thank you.
Paul interrupts the teaching. The ocean is green. Don't go on, please. Your idea of green, yes, but it is an idea. Now, the translated experience from the upper room is the manifestation of the divine that may be experienced by one who is no longer operating in limitation. If you simply think of it as limitation, this is the order of things. This is how the hands on the clock are to move. The tides are supposed to flow. You will see how you've ascribed meaning and patterning to your entire lives. In the altered state of the upper room, when you understand time as construct, you become limitless in some ways because the operating system, if we may use that term, is no longer limited or bound by that word. And
Linearity.
thank you.
Linearity.
And the senses themselves can be invoked to have the experience of the higher and translated to the being in a way that is comprehensible to you. In other words, friends, if your senses were to fully activate now, if you could fully see the world before you, you could not manage it. You would have to sit in a state of wonder, or at least horror, that things are not what they were.
Any thoughts? All right. Anybody want to read next? Who's up next? May, do you want to read next?
Sure, I'll read next.
Thank you.
Now, the brain itself, in some ways, the filter of your experience, is utilized by the senses in wonderful ways. Now, when the monad, or the divine self, is in its expression, and the senses themselves are acclimated to the upper room, you'll begin to have the experiences we speak to. Now, these are not experiences you should usher in or mandate should be. You become aware that there is more on the menu than you were taught to believe. And the moment it's there on the menu, it can be tasted, partaken of. Your agreement to be in a body in a limited state has been part of the calling of humanity and how you have agreed to know themselves. But the altered state of humanity comes to actually has an obligation to move beyond limitation. And because the senses are how you experience your world, they must be in acclimation to this transition. The authentic or true self sees beyond the spectrum, hears beyond the tones available, and touches or experiences and feels beyond what the skin would fathom.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's like the puppeting kind of effect, where it's like you let it just it's like auto I like Livy, you were talking about that at the beginning of yesterday's meeting, and I've been calling that automism, where it's like you just kind of let your body and Cindy calls it natural yoga. Like I've been doing like yesterday I was doing crazy ass yoga positions in the bath. Like crazy. Like I'm like, I didn't even know I could like contort myself in this way. And it's like it might be the space rocks, it might just be like but like yeah, I also when I have like extrasensory perception in like the visual sense, I like to call it illuminea. Like, and I got that from like a Bjork, like me mishearing a Bjork song, but it is kind of like that, like illumination kind of effect that we've, yeah, this paragraph kind of has tied in to what we've been. Good synthesis, I think.
Yeah, it really feels like he's telling us that um, the changes are going to come at the physical level, but don't look for them. They will just happen on their own. You're not the one making them happen. The monad or the divine is making them happen, and just don't be afraid of them as they arise.
Yeah, like don't define it, and then also it's going to be different for every individuation. Like it's
Yes.
there's no one direct path or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is cool, which is like so exciting, and like it offers this like crystalline kind of like lens to look. It's like the eyes of like a bug. Yeah.
It's great imagery. Oh my goodness. Lonnie and then Cindy and then Livy. Or not Livy. Livy doesn't have her hand. I thought that heart was a hand, but Lonnie and then Cindy.
You know, many teachers are talking too about the physical cellular changes that um, this process brings about as well. And if you think about it, we all live in bodies that are held together by a myofascial system, like the jello for the jello mold. And it's that part of our bodies that one absorbs the energy that comes in and through us, but also holds on to the energy that we emit our energy out through. And as this starts happening, as contractions in the myofascia are released by our seeing more clearly, all of that starts to release as well. And I didn't know about this, but early on in my walk, I was like this. I was 100 pounds bigger, 120 pounds bigger, and my being came up like this to where I had no neck at all. And as the work was being done over a year and a half period, the therapist that I was working with started saying, "Oh my God, you're losing so much weight." And I kept saying, "No, I'm not. I still weigh the same thing." And she says, "No, you really are." And then one day she grabbed me and put her arms around me. She said, "See, I couldn't do this before." And that was only then that I could look and realize, oh, wow, I have a neck now. And I told her, I said, "I'm not losing weight, I'm losing shit. I'm losing all the stuff that has been building to protect me and building around my heart to protect it in my myofascia." And as that started going down, it was almost like a swelling that was going down in the physical body. So it's for me proof that no, it's not that I'm not a body. I'm not only a body, and all of it is impacted.
Yeah.
Thank you. Both and. Thank you very, very much, Lonnie. Cindy, you're up next.
Have I mentioned lately how much I love us?
Mm.
I been taught that it's very useful to describe direct experience. It helps cement it in. And I'm listening I can't remember who said what now. But last this Tuesday, when I spent all day in the airport and then came back to Buffalo, I reached out to Diane and we had a dyad and a conversation, and for that hour there was the direct experience of knowing that all of this was just happening, and it was completely outside of the character's control. And that was fine and beautiful, because I attempted once or twice during the 40-minute practice to re-identify as the character, but I couldn't. And by saying I could feel the energetic pull into identifying as something separate as the dream character, and it just wasn't happening. And in that space, I've been taught that once you have a direct experience, you have access to it forever in the dream, which is an extraordinary thing to understand. So you could tap into it, and the application of impossible things is a really great. So I'll read that book, Amy, if we want to do that together here. I think my system's ready for that now. I think Lonnie's is too. I don't know. I imagine. But the thing is, in that book, is that she had an experience that in linear time took a heartbeat, right? And then unfolding in the writing and the understanding, she was able to tap into that experience over and over and over again, because linear time is a farce. And so what happened to me, I had the blessing of connecting with Diane again this morning, and I was able, even with the nervous system being a little out of whack, right? I'm tapping into it again, and I saw from a physical standpoint, from a character standpoint, there's this sense of feeling unsafe and not knowing what love is. That's the way it was coming up. I don't know what love is. Like the dream character, or the I separate mind, whatever you want to call it, doesn't know what love is. And then there was this smile, because of course Miracles teaches that it can't be other than that, because only God's love is real, right? So as long as you're in the separate self, you're not going to know what love is. So in that, with the chills, in that kind of understanding this morning, the stepping back into the memory of Tuesday, understanding that God's love feels so different than what the human expects it to be. Because where I was Tuesday, and I could tap, like I could feel this system being embraced by it, was just this energetic acceptance that all was exactly perfect, and none of it was my fault. There's no fault, there's no separation, there's no could have done it differently. There's just this, we use that ising, and it was so beautiful without being dramatic, if that makes sense.
Mm.
And in case other people are listening to me that have like these kind of direct experiences, Sandra, and keep them to themselves. It's not, I've been taught, and I understand it to be true because I feel it now. The more we talk about it, not in a way that says this makes me special, the more we talk about it, the more we bring it into our own awareness, and B, the more we allow it to be possible for others, like the 4-minute mile, and the other things that the human mind would tell us is impossible until proof is that it's not. So, yeah, I'm going to be quiet now because William wants to speak. But thank you for letting me say all that out loud. It really served me, and something tells me it served it served the collective. Thank you.
Thank you, Cindy. William, you're up next. You're going to close us out, William.
Well, I'm kind of having a sense of I'm here and I'm not here. And his phrases here, your true self sees beyond the spectrum. There's a sense of knowing far beyond, but I'm so insignificant that I'm not even here. And when I listen to the Hollands or what Cindy you're just saying, or what any of you, it's like I'm really not here. And then I'm trying so hard to be what I'm not, which is all your thoughts and words that I'm hearing. And I think that phrase, the beauty of your being is unbeknownst. It is unbeknownst to me, and yet I know. So there's a knowing, and then I'm not. So I've got often feel like nothing to share, and yet what I know is what everyone is sharing. So what you said about not sharing, because it's that still, quiet place. And so I just see such a difference when I'm in the moment of being, because that does everything for me. That's life. And then I get caught up in trying to. And then I disengage and I'm not even here. So I'm just like a blob on a log. But that's okay. Just it's like all of us are part of this now, whatever shape, form, words come out of it, whatever vibrations. It's like I'm so still that I don't exist, and yet I'm fully here. So that's about all I got to right now. That's enough.
Thank you for that. I feel that way too sometimes. It's very peaceful, isn't it? It sounds like you're in the witness. You're just being the witness.
And trying so hard not to be the witness, trying to be, that. And it's like, oh my God, you mean all I have to do is just be? I don't have to do anything else? That's beyond my filters. Way beyond.
It strikes me that we're asked to or invited to release the idea that we're something special as an individual, to recognize the absolute magnificence we are as a part of the whole.
And not to fit in. Talk about freedom. I'm not used to that. My character is not used. I'm used to being scared and not fitting in and doing something wrong. That's what I've known. And then to not even exist. Wow, now that's freedom.
Just to allow.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Cindy, it's so great to have you here. Where are you? Where are you sitting?
But I can turn off the recording and then we could talk if you want.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, let's turn it off.